static buzz in the midnight air. Travic and Spooker in the gamer's lair. The loot drops falling like a neon rain. Pixel worlds driving us insane. Halo rings light up the fight. Sonic speed blurs through the night. Diablo's demons in the dungeon's breath. Path of Exile paths leading to death. Live farming gossip in the glow. Digital whispers in the flow. EverQuest dreams keep us alive. Dead by daylight screams collide. Talk of bosses grinding bones. Legends born in gaming zones. Quests that stretch beyond the frame. In this podcast we name the game. Controllers on the heartbeat song. Spooker's laugh keeps the vibe strong. Travic's words cut through the noise. Gaming tales from girls and boys. Loot farming gossip in the glow. Digital whispers in the flow. EverQuest dreams keep us alive. Dead by daylight screams collide. Controllers hum the heartbeat song. Spooker's laugh keeps the vibe strong. Travic's words cut through the noise. Gaming tales from girls and boys. The farming gossip in the glow. Digital whispers in the flow. EverQuest dreams keep us alive. Dead by daylight screams collide.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Loot, Farming, and Gossip with me, Spooker HD, and my co-host, Travic.
Hello.
So today, we get to dive in to the likes, dislikes, good, bad, positive, negative, all that fun shenanigans things, all about 0.3. Did we hit some of the guessing? Did we miss? By a long shot. So let's just dive right in. And Travic, you've been on one build, the most recent build, I should say, for longer than anticipated. So with that being said, what are you doing? Why are you stuck on it? And why do you like it so much?
Well, I'm playing this really cool variation of Twisters, where you get to just kind of relive your life as a Diablo 2 wind druid is the best way to put it. And you get to essentially create this character that summons this huge tornado or this big like the hurricane around your character. And then you're able to use that hurricane to empower a bunch of little Twisters. And it's this really cool. It like, you know, I make the reference to Diablo 2. It's this really sick reference of like, it reminds me a lot of like my old school days of playing like a druid and doing bail runs. So it's got a little bit of a nostalgia factor, and it's also like disgustingly strong. There's
got
no other way
buffed.
around it. It's just disgustingly strong. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
absolutely ridiculous.
last league, I was following your leveling guide because you were further along and you like had figured out the problems of like getting through leveling, and I had the same feeling last league, like with that build. I just got stuck on it. I took it through endgame. I took it through all the content. I think I did everything but T4 pinnacle bosses on it, and it wasn't because I don't think it could. I think I just didn't have the time or get around to it, and it got a buff, but then it got a surprise nerf, which call it a nerf, call it a bug fix. Me personally, I don't think those two things correlate with each other. I feel like if it's a bug causing it, it's not an actual nerf, which is a hot take, cold take, however you want to look at it. If it nerfs your power directly, that is a nerf where it's like, this is overperforming, we're nerfing it, rather than this is a bug fix and it's not supposed to have 17 different multiplicative pools to boost your damage from. So this was just a movement change, right? The bug was causing further distance for the attacks, right?
Yeah, the claim was that whatever they changed in 0.3 caused the skill to move further than anticipated with attack speed. So when they fixed the bug, your skill didn't move further along with attack speed, and it pretty much cut the distance that the skill travels in half. So you lost on the bug fix like 90% of your movement.
I saw that, and it's crazy because I was running it last league, and it didn't go nearly as far as it was going at the beginning of this league when you first started the build, which is crazy, but it was definitely not going as short distance as it is now. So I think it was
supposedly, from what other people have told me, most notably there's a guy named Snoobie who's playing it, and another guy named Crash and Tuna who's playing it, and they're both PoE guys. Supposedly it's back to what it was in 0.2. So
I played it in 0.2.
I didn't play. Yeah. So
I did.
If you tell me it's not,
it's not huge. Like, it was definitely further than it was in 0.2 before they fixed it, quote unquote fixed it. Yeah. But it was definitely not as short as it is now. So it was like, I think they did the double wombo combo behind the scenes with so they shortened it just a little bit, but at the same time it was still a crazy fun build. I had a blast, and you inspired me the first time, and I'm almost inspired to do another Twister setup, but it would be on a Titan, which I've seen some variations of that going around as well.
So I actually recorded my last YouTube video and had mentioned I was doing like a Q&A about the Twister build because a lot of people have a lot of questions about it. And one of the things I said was, I don't know if I would click this build on a Titan, which is really funny because I just mentioned this very recently. And you're saying that you're willing to click it on a Titan. So it's going to be really interesting to see the aspects, because if we look at 0.3, the only thing that we knew coming into 0.3, or that we had a hunch about, was that, like, you know, Deadeye in itself as an ascendancy would be really good. And we didn't expect a lot of the changes to come around. So hearing that Titan might be like another alternative path will be really cool to see. So this is news to me to hear that you're going to do it on Titan. So I'm like super excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, well, I think the reason why it would even be viable on a Titan is because you get the 50% bonus nodes, and I was looking into some of the jewels. The jewel slots, I can't remember the name of it, but it's a jewel slot where it's like it allows you to take passives in a large ring around another area. I can't remember exactly the name or the workings behind it, but I noticed that the build that I am doing, and I was not following, but got, what's the word? Guidance as to like different directions that I could go from one of the warrior guys that you had linked me, and I was just looking at like kind of the different stuff he does, which he's kind of switching not out of fissures entirely, but he was switching from fissures on everything to just using fissures on Forge Hammer and going more down the physical path for Stampede, which is basically like, that's been the one downside to warrior, is you want any semi speed style variant of warrior, you're using Stampede or leap attack or leap slam or whatever the case may be. But he's using a jewel that allows him to take certain nodes around another. I don't know if it's a jewel slot or if it's like a main. What are they called? Not the notables, but the specific ones. The big.
Are you talking about the
passives?
From Nothing jewel that like targets a keystone and you can take all
keystones. That's it. Yeah. That might be it. Yeah, where you put it in one spot and then it targets the keystone and it puts it in like you can take all the nodes anywhere in another area from another keystone, I think.
The old impossible escapes. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was thinking, if you can put that jewel in a potential spot that allows you to take some of those nodes over there by the ranger side, it could be crazy. Now that jewel is expensive, but needless to say, it's one of those, like, you wouldn't necessarily start it on a Titan, but you could make it crazy good once you farm up some currency with a different build potentially.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
I mean, we started on a well, iLeague started as a witch,
mhm.
and then saw my buddy playing it on a gemling and swapped to play with him on a gemling, and then we realized that we made a mistake and that Deadeye is insane.
Well, true. Everybody was saying Deadeye's insane, but that's just because the ascendancy is just that good. No different than PoE 1 ascendancy Deadeye, right? I mean, like, Deadeye is just, when it comes to doing any elemental style attacks, Deadeye is just the go-to. It's powerful, speedy, and just big bang for little buck. Yeah, you started ED Contagion. You swapped over to what, the Gemling?
Yeah, we played gemling twisters.
Gemling Twisters, and then now
Yeah,
the
now we're
Deadeye.
on Deadeye.
Okay.
There's a lot of really good arguments to swap over to Deadeye, and it was really cool because 0.3 brought in Act 4, and Act 4 also came with the interludes.
Mhm.
Now, if you haven't had the chance to start, I know you have, but for people listening, if you haven't had the chance to start point 3 yet, Act 4 and the interludes are pretty daunting. They're pretty long. You know, Act 4, not to give too much away, has like all these islands that you can explore, and the interlude has another 3 separate areas. So in itself was very daunting because it's long, right? And Path of Exile 2's campaign in itself is really long. So what's really cool, it came out of like re-rolling so many times, is we were able to find a really cool leveling variation of the Twister build.
Mhm.
And we were able to go through the entire campaign in 5 hours, which was really cool. And I'm not a speed racer or anything, but re-rolling so many times plus twisters means you could do a really fast campaign.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
mean,
really cool.
especially from nothing. Like, I looked at basically stuff that you would just find dropped, just to kind of get a
Yep.
good start going. Outside of like crazy uniques that just make it really good, but you can literally do the leveling, which I did in 0.2 from your guidance,
Yep.
super fast. Like, probably one of the fastest campaign clears. Like, as soon as I started doing that, I was like, everybody was complaining about campaign hard,
Yeah.
getting deleted, and I'm like, really? Where? Everything's dead before I get to
Yeah.
it. And it's,
0.3 brings a lot of really interesting choices to things like that.
yeah, and I think one of the biggest key features when it comes to diversity and trying to work with this whole combo system that they're trying to force upon us, which I'm okay with, but we were very, very restricted, almost to the point where my combo did less damage than my setup. And it was like, what's the point to combo
Yep.
if I can just make my my first setup just as powerful, or vice versa?
Yeah,
So
makes sense.
with that being said, I'm absolutely loving the fact that we can use multiple of the same support gems on different skills. Now, you can't use the same support gem 5 times, but being able to use that 35% damage increase on both your setup and your combo is a game changer, and I'm loving
Very
it.
much so.
I'm loving it.
I think that's a big change that came to point 3 that we just weren't really expecting. We made a lot of predictions about what would come to the table, but having them allow us to use multiple gems on a skill or multiple gems across multiple skills was not something I even saw. Like, I never thought they would revert back on that. We get that. We get like sprint. It's just point 3 was just it's just like, I know I'm actively playing it, but like thinking about it now while talking about it, it's such a game changer, man.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of content from 0.2 to 0.3 is actually
Yeah.
nuts. If you just look at the changes, the audience advice that they've taken, and just content that they put, they basically, and I'm saying this lightly, but they basically added 4 new acts in one go. Now, the interludes aren't quite the length of an act, but they were decently long if you went through and kind of explored and did your normal like campaign style playing and not just rush to the end. They were
If you
fairly long.
don't know what's going on, they're pretty long. Like for my first playthrough, I think each interlude took me like maybe like an hour and a half, and then if I were to go through the interludes now, it's like they're like 20 minutes each. But it's like you said, like a normal act, like especially in PoE1, a normal act's only like 20 minutes.
Yep.
PoE2 is a little different. PoE2 acts like 45, but you know.
Yeah, which they're trying to make the game in general a slower paced game. I won't say necessarily slower in the speed of gameplay itself, but just the general base speed of the game is slower in PoE2, and that's kind of why I think even with sprint, it's still, you still feel that like they want you to slow down here and slow down there and all that good stuff, which is cool. I actually like the little bit of a change of pace, which, you know, a lot of people will reprimand me for that idea, but you know, everybody want to go speedy, go fast, finish, kill, go fast, faster's better, number go higher, better.
I don't see. I get where they're coming from. I fully understand where they're coming from in terms of like the speed of the game and wanting us to like slow things down. But speed, I don't think is necessarily bad. I think no matter how much they try to keep a slower game, them caving on things like sprint is only just opening the door for them to cave on more and more things. I think going forward in like patches like 0.4, 0.5, you know, however many we need to go before we get to like a full release, I think we're going to start to see more and more movement speed and more changes in terms of like the overall pacing of the campaign and stuff.
True. Yeah. And they've already mentioned that like they are going to add, I think they basically said they're going to add movement skills, but they're going to come with the class that had one built into it from the get-go, I believe. Shadow.
I think it's Shadow. Yeah. I think that's what it is.
So speaking of sprint, so I personally I'm like a 50-50 on it. I love it and I hate it at the same time. So with the idea of making us go faster, what do you think about sprint? Like the goods, the bads. How do I hate it?
How do you hate that? Soft skills awesome. What do you mean?
You're absolutely right. That's the thing. Sprint itself, the idea, the mechanic, absolutely fantastic. I love it. The implementation of it and how you do it, and the downfall to, I don't know if it's bugs and issues of the bad things happening from sprinting, is the things that I don't like.
When you say bad things happening from sprinting, what are you referring to?
So specifically, when I tap my spacebar to dodge roll, I will automatically just dodge roll to the ground and face plant. And I'm not holding it. I am not trying to sprint. It's a simple tap, and I think it's a bug because the game's trying to pick up that you're trying to sprint, but you're not, and you get hit and you just go down. And it's happened to me multiple times, and I've even like paused myself and was like, okay, I'm gonna sprint here. I'm gonna dodge through these enemies. I know I'm gonna get hit, and you just watch dumble, boom, 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 bam, and now you're on the ground laying there getting smacked by 17 mobs because it thought you tried to sprint when you didn't.
I have not had that problem.
You're also on a ranged build. Pretty much all your builds have been fairly ranged. I
have sprinted past everything that I could sprint past at all times.
Yeah, no, I agree. In most cases, it works great. I love it. The other thing I do not like about sprint itself is if I'm sprinting and I want to turn left or turn right, I don't think they fully hit it on the mark at the rate that you can turn. I understand you shouldn't be able to just zig like the Flash and just 90-degree angle just turn immediately, but I mean, have they watched anybody actually sprint and try and turn? I mean, I don't know.
I think this is definitely, I don't know, maybe people who are listening can weigh in on this one, but this feels like I hate to say it to you, buddy, but it's a player problem. Yeah. I mean, there's also there is a world where I'm speaking from a place of privilege and that other people listening are having this problem, and I just, maybe because I haven't fully had an issue, But like since day one, sprint has just felt very normal and second nature. Like the way that it moves, the way that it turns, the way that it can handle the character. But I've played other games that have had a similar mechanic. Like the movement reminds me a lot of like Black Desert Online, a lot of the EverQuest that I've been playing recently. So like maybe it's just I come from like a world where I'm used to these types of movements.
It could be possible, but the definitely the tapping dodge roll and the game believing you're going into sprint. I've had multiple people tell me that that's the case. That's
weird. I haven't personally had that one, but I could see how. I know there's a setting. I don't know if you have it on or not, but this is definitely something you should look into later. But there's a setting that says you can automatically sprint from a dodge roll. And I had to turn that one off because it wasn't giving me the control that I wanted over my sprints. Like I would try to like dodge roll, and it would dodge roll, sprint, dodge. So maybe there's a world where that is doing it and you just have that on and don't realize it's on.
That's a very good possibility. I know that I turned on the continue to sprint without holding it. That one I do have on.
That is literally what I'm referring to.
I thought there was another one where
No, that's what I'm talking about. I had to turn that off because it was.
So you hold it while you sprint?
I don't sprint anymore, man.
Obviously, yeah.
Before that, I was holding it because it gave me better control over my character.
Fair enough. And that might be the case then. That might be an issue. But it shouldn't be an issue is my point, I guess. Like if I'm tapping it, it should definitely know the difference between a tap and a hold. But
sure,
understandable.
I mean, if you look at, I think it's designed with the idea of controller implementation in mind.
Oh, 100%. Because you get way more control with controller. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you were so used to like playing like old school Mario and stuff, like holding like the B button to sprint.
Mm-hmm. And that makes sense. Yep. Yeah,
it could be a controller support thing.
Yeah, very, very, very well. Very well could be. So, yeah, outside of that, though, I absolutely love the sprint mechanic, especially playing on a slow movement warrior. It just makes it very nice. It makes it feel very, very good. And I'm pretty sure sprint scales with move speed, right?
I believe it is a set rate.
Oh, it's a set rate. Knowledge. Okay, so if you get enough movement speed, you can move faster than sprint potentially. I mean, whirling slash moves faster than sprint. Oh, yeah, but that's attacking. That's not move speed.
Well, you can also make 60% movement speed boots.
True. Very true. Mm-hmm.
So I believe there's a world. I don't know if the movement speed boots stack with sprint because I don't have the movement speed boots. I haven't had a reason to make them.
Right.
But it's definitely something that, if somebody listening knows, they can tell us. But it's definitely something very easy for me to like go put these boots together really quick and go test it out and see what happens.
So I've done Trial of Sechemus runs where you can get Harefoot, right? Or Rabbit Foot, whatever the hell it's called, for the 40% movement speed. I don't have any movement speed on my boots right now. So it's a noticeable difference when you get that 40% extra. And it feels...
maybe it does then.
It feels to me that, it does affect your sprint run speed as well. So I don't know. Maybe that is the case. Maybe it's not. I don't know. If you know, let us know. Enough about sprint. I love it as a whole. I think there is some mechanical issues that could be tuned, but again, could be player issue, player skill,
Sure.
But the next biggest thing, probably the best thing that has ever come to.
Sorry, I killed your build up. I know. That's my job, to kill a build up. You're setting a pace and you're describing the story, this whole thing, and it's like the auction house.
But I mean, it's like there's nothing that even comes close to the addition of a mechanic like that. It's so many players have had so many issues, and there's good and plenty of bad that come with the auction house. And
there's plenty of bad, but there's so much good.
I think the good outweighs the bad, regardless of how much it comes, just because of being able to sell things when you're not logged into the game. So, what's your experience been with the auction house? Since you agree that there is bad, what's some good and bad things that you believe have come with the auction house?
So this is a hot take. I will not log into PoE1 if the auction house is not there.
Really? So in October, you're not.
If 327 does not have the auction house, I will not log in 327.
Dang, that big of an impact, huh?
Yeah, it is the most game-changing thing, period, ever, period.
I agree. That's heavy. That's heavy.
Yeah.
No PoE1 with if you heard that, GGG. You're gonna lose half your audience.
I will not log in PoE1. It's the fact that I never so a really good example. A buddy of mine's re-rolling, right? Or not re-rolling. A buddy of mine, Kay, is starting the league the other day. Downloads it for the first time. He's back from his work trip. He's getting ready to play. He hasn't had a chance to do anything. And he logs in and he's having a good time. And he's in Act 1. He's doing the Twister thing. And he gets to level 16. He finds a couple of exalts on the floor. Our buddy Mendo gives him some exalts just to get him rolling. And he goes, all right, Trav, what do I buy? How do I make this nuts? So we go, get these boots, get this. He's got 30 exalted orbs. So he can buy some really nice low level stuff. He comes back to me half an hour later, 45 minutes later. He goes, Trav, I got a problem. I said, what's up, man? He goes, Mendo gave me this currency. You gave me direction where to go. I can't get the items. Nobody responds. What am I doing wrong? And I say, oh, you're just going to use it. Not thinking, I said, oh, you just have to use the instant trade system. And he goes, the instant trade, dude, I'm not in Act 4. I can't do that. So I said, holy shit, you're right. I said, give me your currency. So I hop in a call with him. He gives me his currency. I was like, watch this. I hit the button to bring up the in-game trade system. I type the first item, which are the Sky Sliver Spear. It pops up on trade. I hit travel to hideout, buy the item, 15, 20 seconds in and out. I got him 30 exalts worth of stuff, which geared out like a level 16 character in 2-3 minutes. This poor guy spent 45 minutes or whatever it was trying to set everything up and no cigar. And then I come rolling through, bada bing, bada boom, it's done.
Yeah, no, it's so good. And I really hope that's one of the bad downsides that I believe is something that needs to be changed. But if you're going to give us a trade system, we should have access to it from start. We should not earn that. 100%. The currency exchange, okay, I can understand, but it's just the base item trade system that shouldn't be limited to Act 4 because it's not via the online trade. So literally the only people that are going to be selling stuff on the online only or human interaction forum trade are going to be the majority of people on day 1, hour 4, 5 maybe tops, and then everything's going to be instant buyout.
I started the league and I bought an item 45 minutes into the league to help my ADC character, and I did person-to-person trade, right? Because we didn't have access to the new system yet. And as soon as I got access to, so I didn't do a lot of trading on day 1 outside of buying this item right off the rip. But as soon as I got access to person-to-person trade, I never went back. That was it. It was game over.
Yep. And yeah, I totally get it. I personally did both all the way up until maps. And I think it was because there were some items that were low level that sold only because there was people that didn't make it to Act 4. Yeah. So I kind of was we'll just leave it there for a while because it was low level and it's the most I'm going to get is an exalt, maybe 2 later on. And it's lower level gear. It was prior to Act 4 level gear. So I was I'm just going to leave it in the trade. And pretty much everything that I had in there eventually sold. So whether it was new people starting, like you said, your friend starting just the other day, or new people that just didn't have the time to progress far enough yet. So I definitely see that being an issue for the auction house, and I hope, I can't believe, but I hope that they do make at least some sort of change for the better, because I truly believe you should have access to it from a day one start, just like you do trading in a regular tab.
No, I agree with you. It's yeah, definitely. I will say one of the best feelings is like I can sit here now with you during this podcast. We can shoot the shit for the next hour, hour and a half, whatever it may be. I'm not on PoE, and I don't have to worry about anything. Everything's listed, everything's for sale. And then when you and I are done, I can go have dinner. I can come back to my game after I eat. I sit down and I made currency, and it's such. You can't beat that, man.
No, you can't.
Literally, you can't beat that. The fact that I can set some prices, go to bed, wake up, my stuff is sold. You can't beat that. It's unbeatable. It's fantastic.
Yep. I agree. I totally agree. So that's a lot of the good. What's some of the bad things that you have noticed outside of the obviously not being able to use it till Act 4?
I don't know what GGG's plan is to stop bots, but I definitely go to buy an item that's way underpriced, and I like to believe that the 60 people rushing to the item are players, but I'm pretty sure the live market's heavily botted, which is fine. Right?
No different than the regular market, right?
Yeah. The only difference being is that like people can buy stuff right away. The biggest downside I can think about to the live trading auction house is that because it's so much easier to bot things, and because deals of a lifetime on items are going to be harder to get than you normally would, I think players, myself included, need to have a real big realization and like a wake-up call to how we need to like price items. So like back in the day, and I say back in the day, however long ago it was that we played PoE 1, you make this joke like you're selling an item for just say 10 exalts, right? And I list my item for 9 exalts. Eventually, hopefully I get the whisper because the guy at 8, 7, and 6 doesn't answer. How many times you go to buy something and price fixers just don't answer, right? It's all the time.
Well, it got to the point eventually, like when you go to buy something, you would just click like the first 10 without even hesitating. First one to hit me gets the sale, right? Yep.
And now with that same mentality, players have, well, I'm just gonna list my stuff for, like me, I just list the price, dude. I just list things, dude. if you put an item for say 10x, I'm gonna list it for like 7, 6, 5. Money in pocket is so much better.
I
And
agree.
things like that, things are selling, dude. It's crazy how aggressive you can undercut and get a sale. And I think a lot of players are gonna have to adapt to the mindset that like instead of playing Path of Exile to like milk items, the auction house system is going to force players, which I think is a good thing, to play a completely different way.
I agree.
In terms of like buying and selling and obtaining items.
I agree. And with that being said, that's actually one of my downsides for the auction house is, yes, this is a good thing, but it is a bad thing at the same time, right? Where I can list an item for 10x, and because the only one near it is up there for, we'll say 12x, and I post it for 10, then you undercut me with 9, then the next Jimmy undercuts you with 8, then Timmy undercuts him with 7, and the next thing you know, all these really good items that you would normally sell for 5 to 10 exalts during this, whatever time frame you are, because obviously as we go further into the league, the more supply on the market, the less demand, the cheaper the prices just generally get. But we'll just at a fixed rate, 10, 7, 5, 4. Next thing you know, you got all these really good starting items for 1 exalt. Like I could go on to the auction house right now and pick up a full slew of gear for less than 15x because everybody is trying to outmarket everybody else.
It'll if the auction house stays in its current iteration, just assuming nothing changes, right? Because obviously things are going to change. If it stays in its current iteration or it continues down the path that it's going, there will never be an excuse for a player to say they can't get gear to fix their problems. Like, and I'm not talking about like high end, just say mirror tier gear, 20 div gear, 30 div gear. There'll never be an excuse for a player to say that they can't push into mid tier maps or like early end game because currency is a problem. Loot is so cheap thanks to the auction house that like you can get good double res life gear for 1x. Even you can even get like life damage and a resistance for like 1x to just carry you through content. Now, granted, it won't be the best thing in the world. You're not going to get like tier 1 resistance, tier 1 resistance, tier 1 life, but you can get tier 2, tier 3, and just be cruising when normally, like you said, that'll cost you a little bit extra, not a whole lot extra, but a little bit extra.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah. So, I mean, like I said, that in my eyes, that's both a good and a bad. Good being the availability of loot and getting stuff is never going to be a problem, right? And bad as in trying to sell stuff, you got to be more on your game. You got to pay attention to the market fluctuations. You can't just throw everything in a tab. Now, you can still throw everything in a tab. Some stuff will sell, but to get efficient selling now, you're going to have to pay a little bit more attention to the market, which isn't necessarily bad.
So what I do, and this might help people who are also in the same boat, I get a bunch of items, I do my little farming session, and then I list all my stuff, right? And if I list something, say I just finished farming before I come to the podcast, I list this item for, we'll just say 100C or 100X, just for easy sake, or like 2 divs or whatever.
Right.
I'll hang out with you 3, 4, 5 hours from now, doesn't sell. I lower it from 2 divs to 1 divs or 100 to 75. I then go to bed. I wake up. It hasn't sold. I lower it again, 75 to 50. Every 3 or 4 hours, even if I'm not playing the game and just doing other stuff, I just log in for a minute, assuming life lets me.
Right.
And I know it's not going to be easy. I know this is not going to be like one of those things. There are going to be people like, I can't log in all the time. But whenever I can sit back down to just log in for 30, 40 seconds to check my sales, maybe 5 minutes to check my sales, if stuff hasn't sold and it's been a substantial amount of time, not like 45 minutes, we're talking like hours, I will go in no matter what the number is on that item and I will just lower it by a percentage. It doesn't matter anymore if I like lose out or not. Like, you know how players always be like, but it's a 100 div item. Why are you taking 70? It's been 7 hours. I'm not waiting. It's a live system. Like, people are just constantly buying things. And in a world where you had to be logged in, yes, you can min-max a little bit, especially if you're the only person with an item. But now that everybody has access to everything at all of the time ever, why would Jimmy wait for me to log back in at that price when he can just live search it and Susie puts it up?
Yep. No, I agree. I completely agree. That's actually another point that I was going to make, is that when trying to get a good deal on stuff, you live search stuff in the same concept, right? You know, somebody does post it up and you try to be the first one, obviously race there. But also, that's also a good thing though, right? Life is busy, right? So you can only log in for 30 minutes here and 30 minutes there, or maybe even shorter than that. You have stuff listed. You only have to log in however long it takes you to load up the game, log in and go to Ange. Boom. That's all you need. And if stuff, like you said, if stuff's not selling, you bump it down until the next time you can log in, making it more easy and less excuses as to why your stuff can't sell. So
now I'm fortunate, right? I get to play this game a lot more than the average person. So during the school week, I get to play while my son is at school because my job is content creation, right? So I'll get to play those 3-4 hours during the week, or, bring him to school, he goes to school, and then I play until parent pickup. So I have the opportunity to play. After he's done, I have to do dad stuff. I've got to give him a shower, read him a book, hang out with him, cook dinner, help him with homework if there's homework. He wants to go outside and play, or he wants to go to the park, like life happens. And I don't get the opportunity to sit on PoE anymore as much as I used to because my son is older. And now at the end of the night, after he takes a shower in his bath, he wants to have a nighttime snack. I give him some cookies and milk or whatever he wants. He sit at the kitchen table. I can get up for 2 seconds, walk over to Ant, like turn the game on while he's having his cookies and milk and watching a little show or whatever, and go lower the price of all my stuff if it doesn't sell.
Right.
And
Exactly.
it's fantastic. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
So I'm all for it. I hope that GGG implements ways for us to use the live auction house system to like even mirror items.
Nope. One of the other negatives that I will put towards the auction house, which this is, like you said, this is just the first iteration of the auction house. I'm guarantee almost, I won't say 100% because, you know, some things just don't, but 99.9% chance that there will be a second iteration where there's adjustments, fine-tunements, and changes. Yep. And with that, I hope they bring the price checking third-party app killer, which is, let me take my item, click a button, and it inputs everything on that item into the in-game trade search. So if I want to adjust the values and say, okay, well, I want to do plus or minus 10% on the values, I can adjust that, but I don't have to go in and manually enter every affix on said item that I just found in order to price check it. Or use a third-party price checker, which in my personal experience is 90% of the time wrong because it's only pulling up on-site trade for whatever reason, or some ridiculous price because it doesn't exist for some reason, because whatever the case may be. So that is one thing I do hope they bring is, you know, an automatic input my item into the in-game trade section, which would be absolutely great. Outside of that,
I agree.
Yeah. Outside of that, I don't think there's, outside of like just good and bad because of the online economy and online players themselves, I don't think there is really any negative things to say about the auction house. I mean, because it's iteration 1, it's going to change for the better, and we'll see what they're going to do to potentially try and drive bots further away from controlling the market. They can't ever stop them, but they can definitely do some sort of market manipulation control in some manner or another.
I definitely think we're going to see some changes without a doubt. I mean, if they have to, right? Maybe.
No, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There's definitely issues with it for, right now as well, too. Just not knowing whether certain affixes are this or certain affixes are that, and it's easier input your item. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they said something about adding that in there, too. Anyways, so we hit Sprint, we hit Auction House, we hit Gems. There was one other.
Act 4 is beautiful since you're going down the list.
Oh, yes. Yes. Okay. Yes. Act 4 and the interludes, even though they've said the interludes are not permanent, they did say that they would incorporate the interludes in some other potential aspect of the game. So with Act 4 is King's March and Karui, the Karui Islands, right? Without giving away too much detail for those people that haven't quite had a chance to sit down and play yet, that are still going to. What did you think about Act 4? What were the goods, the bads, and all the experiences that you had while going through it the first time?
The balancing was off in the interludes. All right, just focusing solely on Act 4. Act 4 was beautiful. It's fantastic. It was awesome. The islands were great. The storyline was great. Leading into Toda was great, or the Trials of the Ancestors with like the whole what's her name, Navali, and all of that stuff, and her saying it's not your time, come back. Like, as a PoE1 player who played when that was a thing, like I know what's coming, and like the setup for all that was just like Bro, I remember playing Act 4 for the first time and going, if this, like, did they lie to us? Is Toda in the game? Like, am I going to go play around with Toda right now? Like, I was so excited. Oh my God, I was so excited. And then she was like, come back later. And I was just like,
No.
ah.
Yeah, and how about her reappearing on your waypoint every time in your hideout?
That she needs to fucking go, dude. Holy.
I will agree. I actually had a blast going through Act 4, but I had an experience in Act 4 that was different than the other 3 acts. And I don't know if maybe I just don't remember whether or not I did this the first time around, or if it's that it's new. I felt myself wanting to actually explore the different areas, because there were times where you would find something at this dead end that was rewarding. I mean, I wouldn't say that it was like a specific reward, but it just felt more rewarding to actually explore rather than just beeline it straight to the end quest objective.
So that is a feeling that I agree with you. And I told my community and everybody who asked me what my plan is for PoE point 3, I said every time they add a new story, like story arc, or campaign wise, you will only be able to experience it once. You will never, ever get to experience it for the first time ever again. So I was in the same boat as you. We got to Act 4. I got to each island. You know, each island took me like 30, 40 minutes, whatever. And I did, dude. I explored everything. Oh, so good, man. So good.
Yep.
So
Act 4 being great, and then it being excited to jump into the interludes. When I first hit the interludes, now mind you, I was playing Warrior. All right, I am playing Warrior still. So I mean, I guess that's a bad way of putting it, but as playing Warrior and feeling extremely overtuned, not the interludes, but me feeling extremely overtuned for the amount of power and defenses that I had with one of the new mechanics. Armor is applied to elemental.
Oh, they just patched while we're sitting here. Fixed the bug where you were unable to dodge roll out of sprinting while the keep sprinting while moving option was selected.
Oh shit,
While
baby.
Recording.
That's sick. Hell yeah. I told you it was a thing.
I just got out. I looked over at my other monitor. I saw a bunch of pings coming through, freaking out. I was like, oh my God, is the world burning down? And it's a bunch of people like cheering.
Hell yeah.
That. Yeah. The exact wording is, fix the bug where you could be unable to dodge roll out of sprinting with the keep sprinting while moving option selected.
Okay, and that's probably what was causing my issues, because it wasn't letting you actually completely dodge roll. It was still considering you sprinting, so you just face plant. Boom. That's cool. That's sick.
Yeah.
But anyways, as a warrior and feeling overtuned as a warrior, because I feel like especially early on, when you're still building your gear, I haven't quite experienced the different mechanics with how it works with endgame tremendously. But having little to no resistances and having more than 100% of armor applied to elemental, most of my campaign, once I got a couple of those good nodes for that on the passive tree and had it on a few pieces of my gear, my armor applying to elemental damage reduction was like 70%, 70 to 80%.
That's huge.
So, and I'm not sure, like I said, when it correlates, when you do get higher resistances, to how much that armor impacts you then. But having little to no resistances with that covering that much of a difference, it was actually huge. The only thing that was really get me out of nowhere would be damage over time, because the armor applies to Ellie does not affect damage over time. It's only direct hits. With that being said, I had a lot of people telling me that the interludes were overtuned, while I will say they were definitely more difficult than Act 4. Me, as the Warrior Titan, I didn't feel like it was necessarily overtuned, and maybe that's just because I had a decent build and decent gear drops throughout the campaign. But I will say that some of the bosses did hit significantly harder than anything else I had come across around my own level through the campaign. So I will say you could feel that big damage difference in the bossing phases from Act 4 to the interludes. Now, mind you, I didn't get to do the Act 2 interlude before they nerfed the Act 2 interlude either.
Okay. I was gonna ask if you got to do that, because I fought him before the nerf.
Right.
So yeah. Okay.
So
Yeah,
how was your experiences in the interlude though? Since you got to do it from raw.
I was capped resistances, capped everything. Like hell, I had like 1,000 health or whatever it was, like 12 or 1,300 health, energy shield, the whole 9 yards. And I got to the interludes and I got hit and I died. And I was like, what the actual hell happened?
Quick question then. You didn't have armor though, right? So you didn't really have any physical damage reduction, right?
Yeah.
So maybe
I was on the different side of the tree.
Right. So maybe that could be the big impactor, right? In Act 4 plus, being the interludes 1, 2, and 3. Maybe the physical mitigation stuff made it not feel as bad for me, whereas to like the scale from Act 4 to interludes, they were just doing that much more physical damage to where non-armored builds were just feeling it really hard.
Yeah, it definitely could be. There could be. So the interludes are really interesting. So the first time I went through the interludes, they were very difficult. And then I went through them again on Twister, but Twister Gemling. And I was like, oh, this is a lot easier. And then I went through them again as Deadeye. And I was like, oh, this is a joke. Right. So I think a lot of it also comes down to inexperience with it. You know, everything's harder the first time because you don't know what to expect. You don't know how they're going to hit you, how they're going to move, what they're going to handle. Yeah, so exactly. I think you were at a huge advantage with this whole armor mitigation thing, while players that didn't go down that route, went down the traditional route of things, were at a little bit of a, I'll say, disadvantage.
Yeah, I will say, yeah, I agree there. I think armor reducing the physical mitigation, that could be the reason why it didn't feel as impactful to me, is because the physical damage ramped up more than normal, which I did notice I was taking more damage for sure in the interludes, but it wasn't enough that it was like I was just getting my ass kicked. But with the campaign and 0.3 and what we already talked about, there's the biggest thing that came with 0.3, and that's a league mechanic, right? And the league mechanic is one that a lot of people from PoE 1 loved. The Abyss mechanic, going down deep, dark holes and getting lost, right? So far, I absolutely love the Abyss mechanic, but as a warrior, or better put, as a melee class, I feel hugely disadvantaged to some of the main fights in the Abysses. I feel like when you come across the end of an abyssal depths, you always run into this rare dude at the end. Yep. And they always have this green ring around them.
Yep.
And I'm not sure exactly what it does, but I do know that I can't heal for shit against it. I can't really get too close to it without like run in, hit, run out type of shit. I feel like something needs to be adjusted for melee in some manner, because from what I heard, it basically like shuts down your regen. It's actually doing damage to you, so you're losing health when you're anywhere near it. And you just, as a melee, just get fucked. It sucks. I have to do everything in my power to try and use my most furthest ranged melee attacks, whether it be Sunder, Hammer of the Gods, or...
You have to stand in that whirlwind to deal 8 damage.
Right, that's what I'm saying, but you got to do it at the furthest range so that you can pop out of it so that you're not dying. So
that's rough.
outside of that, I noticed even as an armor based class with with max resistances, and I haven't maxed my chaos resistance. It definitely feels like it's a little overtuned to start with. Now, once you get your build and your defensive layers all set up and good to go, it doesn't feel as bad, but I do feel like the scaling at the start of end game content, the Abyss, the current Abyss status is a bit higher than it should be when being introduced.
I think it definitely needs to be tuned a little bit. I'm sure that'll come in time.
Oh, of course.
But it's definitely harder than it needs to be, without a doubt. I think the biggest letdown, if we were to talk about things, isn't so much the damage that the mobs are doing, but I definitely think Abyss itself is really good. I'm trying to think of the way that I want to word this. Abyss itself is really good. They did a great job of designing it. They did a great job of implementing it in maps. But I feel that in the Abyssal Depths, it's very weirdly lacking. So at the end of like a base Abyssal Depths, like you get that rare, like you said, and like you kill it and you get a chest. It's like whoop-dee. But even like the bosses and stuff for Abyss just feels so underwhelming. Very underwhelming. I think everything above ground in Abyss is amazing. And then as soon as you go below ground in Abyss, it's just like, meh. It's okay.
Yeah, I feel like there could have been a little bit more depth to the depths, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
they had a really good opportunity to make that, like, it's really cool. Like the going down into the hole, the fact that there's all cool stuff in the hole. You know, there's mobs. It's definitely a better iteration of Abyss than PoE 1, but it just feels, I don't know if I can put my finger on what's lacking, but it feels like something's lacking.
I agree. I will agree. But the mechanic itself is great. And
the mechanic, yeah, I'm gonna be very sad when we lose the mechanic. Well, not
if
lose,
we lose.
but it's not lose. I don't think we'll lose it, but like it won't be on every single zone. You know what I mean? Because that's just how it's been trending, that you have to like put it on your zone and on your map. So I'm sure we'll get
okay, gotcha. Yeah.
some sort of way to proc it.
Yeah, that makes sense. As with any league mechanic when it goes to standard. True. But with the Abyssal League came new crafting. And that crafting, on top of the other additions to crafting with your greater and perfect orbs, up to what, chaos? And then alchemy is the first one with no tiers.
Alch has no I think it's Alch annuls chance. There's very few without extra tiers.
Yeah, it's the higher ones. So you got transmutations, augmentations, regals, exalts, and chaos. They all have your greater and perfect, which I think is a great, absolutely phenomenal addition to the crafting system, because now I do not feel bad at all burning up my transmutations or augmentations or even exalts at times, because it's like, well, when I'm going to do end game crafting, I'm going to want to use greater or even perfect, maybe. You know, I don't think I found a perfect exalted yet, but
they are very rare.
That's what I heard. They're like divine worthy almost.
They're worth like time of recording 2.5 divs.
Okay, so they're more than a div. Okay, so that's cool. And that's just the idea behind that mechanic, though. I think they absolutely hit it so well. You know, like the minimum level modifier that you'll get is like 40, I think, 35 or 40 or something like that. So it's gonna be like T4, I believe, or higher. Guaranteed.
I believe that's accurate. I think it's eye level 40 for greater and like 50, 51.
Okay.
We could double it. Like it's very easy to like go pull it up and double check. I just don't have it in front of me right now. I'd have to like log in.
No worries. But just the idea behind it is all that really needs to be touched on here. But I think that's absolutely astounding. It's so good to actually like do two things, right? People aren't going to be afraid to use the lower currencies because you're going to be getting the better currencies later on, or when you're actually going to craft these mirror tier items, you're not going to be using your regular currencies. Now,
I don't think I use regular. I don't even think I've had regular ones on my filter since like day 2.
I'm sure you pick up regular exalts though, right? Since that's the base trading.
Yeah.
But the other ones, that makes sense. Yep. That makes sense.
Even like right now, like. So earlier today is a really good example. I was doing a bunch of farming in simulacrums, and they drop a lot of I-82 bases.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on the base, I would immediately start with perfects. And if the perfect hit a good tier 1 mod, I would follow it up with so like perfect transmute into perfect aug. If it was perfect transmute and it hit like an mod, I would go greater aug. So it's a really interesting way to like go about things, and the level of crafting or like the level of start of control that it brings is really interesting.
Yeah, I agree. So with the new crafting and the new league crafting and the new base currencies that they just threw at us with different modifications and some new omens, right? We got some new omens as well.
Yes.
With all of those combined, I've found it crazy that if I want to go purchase, we'll say, a new item that's an upgrade, that's T3s, T4s, they're dirt cheap, right?
Yep.
I can get a good upgrade with T3, T4 affixes, no problem. But then the moment you hit that, T2s and T1s, the price does go back up. But because crafting is so good, it's not unobtainable to get some of these T1, T2 items if you even choose to buy them and not craft them yourselves, which is huge. I think the whole new crafting system and all the stuff they've introduced, I don't think it's going to stay the same. I'm almost positive they're going to change it to some manner or another. I do feel it might be a little too easy to just print whatever item you want. But I do think...
Why is that bad?
It's not in my eyes, but I can definitely see how GGG, coming from the aspect of what do we have to grind for when we can print all T1 perfect gear? What's to grind for after that, right? So I could see them adjusting it, not changing it, but adjusting it to make it either some of the currencies that allow you to do this a little bit more rare or some manner or another. I personally love it. I love the fact that I can spend 5 div in currencies to craft the stuff and get T2 plus gear and exactly what affixes I want. And if not, I can just use some more currencies to attempt to redo it, which is awesome. I love that.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's really good. And I think it's going to be really hard for them to reel it back.
Oh, I agree. They're going to get so much flack if they reel it back in a bad way.
Yeah.
But
I don't know, man. See, I like it. I don't think it only seems like a problem because Abyss is so common.
So readily available. So the currencies are more readily available. That makes sense.
This whole changes, like the whole equation changes when Abyss isn't in every map.
That's true. That is true. But with the mechanic going standard, if it goes standard, right? Because GGG, you just never know. They might be like, oh, nope, we're throwing it to the side for now. Maybe it'll come back later, whatever. If it goes standard, it won't be as readily available. It's not going to be in all the zones leveling up, right? It's not going to be everywhere through the campaign. So some of this crafting will, again, just be available once you get to end game again, but how available, we don't know. So maybe that in itself will be enough adjustment without actually modifying any of it by too much in the current state. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I just think it just seems, if it does seem like a problem, it only seems like a problem because it's just openly available. But it's like, have you tried? Like, have you played around with a lot of the omens and stuff yet?
I've played around with a few of them. I haven't personally used a ton of them because I haven't found a ton of them. I'm still relatively...
you should just buy them.
Well, you have to have currency for that.
So you're making you're literally leading into the point that I'm going to make. Even though you can print at any item at any given point, it is still not super accessible to everybody because they just don't have the ability to do it.
No, you're right. You're right. But I don't have currency because I've been doing that, right? I've been utilizing the whole being able to like make the items that you want. It's not that I've never seen it. So I don't have currency at the very moment because I've used it. I haven't played around with all the omens yet because, you know, you do a 50-50, you get lucky, you don't use an omen, right? Or, you know, you find a good base and you transmute Auget and you hit 2 T2s, you take that and run with it, right? So
it's still relatively, like, we can print anything we want. I won't deny that. But it's still really hard.
Oh yeah, and it's costly.
It's so a really good example is I did my gloves, and my gloves are insane. Like they're super insane.
Yep.
And the first time I did the gloves and I made the gloves, it took like 15 divs worth of materials, and then I sold them because I wasn't too happy with them and I wanted to go again. And it took like 40 divs worth of materials to just get back to a spot where I was like remotely happy.
Mm-hmm.
So like, even though the stuff is readily available and I can print any item I want at any given time, it doesn't mean that it's always as easy as click a button, right? Like you still have to work for it.
You still got to work for it. You still got to figure out how to do it. And I mean, knowledge is been power in PoE from the get-go. And I will 100% agree with you. But I will also say that this type of quote unquote crafting has been something that a lot of the community has asked for. And I think that they absolutely delivered. Like in PoE 1, you can print any item you want if you have enough currencies. Now you can say you can do the same in PoE 2. And I love it. I love the ability. But like you said, I think it will get tuned to some extent when the Abyss mechanic isn't on every map that you run.
Right.
So it'll just make...
I don't know if they can get rid of it in any meaningful way without having problems.
True. Well, we will... one thing that I did notice, and correct me if I'm wrong, all of the omens from the Abyss mechanic are not on the ritual stash page.
Correct.
Okay. So I'm hoping that changes, but we'll see. I was actually kind of surprised that they weren't on there, but it being a league mechanic, it makes sense as to why they wouldn't just add it immediately.
Well, I don't think it's ever going to go onto the ritual page. They're different things.
Well, yeah, they're found in ritual.
Hold on. No. Ritual omens are found in ritual. Desecrated omens are found in the Abyss. They have completely different mechanics and do completely different things. So none of the, they're just drastically different.
Well, the desecrate things, yes. But I'm referring to the actual omens. The omens are in the name. I found them both in the Abyssal Depths and in ritual.
But they share, just because they share a name doesn't mean that they come from the same place.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. No. I wouldn't have said that if I haven't found some of the Abyss omens in
But
Ritual.
they'll never go to. What do you find in Ritual? You don't.
I think it was one of the only effect prefixes, I think, which is an Abyssal omen, correct?
No, the homogenizing one is not a desecrated one. The Abyss, to my understanding, the Abyss specific ones are the ones that deal with desecration mods.
Okay.
To my knowledge, I could be wrong here. I could just be sounding like an asshole or an idiot.
And I could be too. I mean, I know that I have, and I know I don't have all of them, but I have a total of 5 omens that are in my currency page because they don't go into Ritual, which makes me believe that they're from the Abyssal mechanic, but I know that I got one of them from Ritual. And that's where I guess I could have drawn the confusion. And so I don't know. I guess it's just personal experience.
Omen of Light, to my knowledge, is never going to come out of Ritual.
I don't think I have that one, so I don't know.
It removes a desecrated mod.
Okay, yeah.
So Omen of Light is in a null essentially for
just a desecrated mod.
Yeah.
Which I like how people have been using that as a like benchcraft to block mods. That's been
sweet.
Sweet.
It's a really good time.
Really, really good time.
I'm trying to look. Waiting for my game to load.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, I think I don't really have anything super negative to say about 0.3 outside of the fact that I just disappointed I haven't had as much time as I would like to invest into it between work and doing just IRL shit or content creation shit outside of playing.
The Abyss omens are green with unique outliers such as the symbols of the 3 gods, Amuman, Kulamak, or whatever the hell their names are, and the Ritual omens have the symbol for King of the Mist on them.
Gotcha. I'll have to take a look.
That's what it looks like right now.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess it wouldn't surprise me if omens technically do come from Ritual, that they put them in that loot pool for now, before it becomes a standard mechanic
But if Abyss goes core and all the stuff can be gotten out of Ritual, what's the point of running Abyss?
No, I completely agree with you. Abyss could just potentially give you a higher chance because you're not fighting against all the other omens that do come from Ritual, so it'd be still better.
But why would you do anything other than Ritual then?
Because
there's so many more options and so much more ways to make money just doing Ritual, right? And even like the king, like you just do Ritual. It wouldn't matter that they were in Abyss. You wouldn't even go bother because you would have to have access to King of the Mist and everything.
Well, the desecrate stuff
you're saying
only come from Abyss.
Right, but you're saying if those go into Ritual because they're called omens.
Just the omen parts, not the desecrate parts. You would still have to do Abyss for
they're all called omen of something.
The omen parts, not the bones that actually do the desecrating.
Okay, yeah, the bones. Yeah.
So you would still have to farm Abyss to do the whole desecrate feature. So you would just, the few omens that are part of Abyss as well, you could just potentially find. But those few omens, which is like 6 or 7 of them, right? You would be fighting against all the other omens. So efficiency, you would still do Abyss if you were looking for the Abyss omens. So I mean, it makes sense, but I do see your point too, though. Like, why would I do this mechanic if I can find all that stuff in this mechanic, which drops me all this other good stuff too? But again, it all boils down to an efficiency factor, right? So, but crafting, A+++ in my eyes. I love it. I love the being able to roll items, even if they're not the absolute greatest, but roll items for relatively cheap while deterministically getting, we'll say, 70% of my item
Sure.
to exactly what I want for cheap, not like super deterministic crafting where you're going to be spending anywhere from 5 to 50 divs. But there is that level of crafting there too, and I love it. So I love being able to have options. So I think there was a couple more things I want to talk about. Deflection. You've been running.
Trash.
That's what I've been hearing. So what's your opinion on it? Why is it trash? And what made you come to that realization that
You can't get to 100%. What's the point? It requires so much to get to anywhere relatively usable. What's the point? Like, it's just it's to me, and I could be wrong, but to me, it's just a worse spell suppression.
True, but it applies to everything, right?
I think there's a world where it gets good, right? Like, there's a world where, like, eventually it's really good and you're, like, really happy to use it, but I don't think that's a world yet.
Yeah, I was
it's still just click energy shield and be happy.
Yeah, there's been a lot of argument about that. It's like, why would I go armor when I can just have 50 times the amount of energy shield as life anyways? Why go evasion when I can just have so much energy shield that any hit I take, I just recharge my energy shield right after? There's been a lot of arguments, and the downside to that argument too, though, is that how do you nerf it without literally just making ES unusable? It's one of those, like, you just can't.
You just let people cap deflection.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. And I feel like I'm surprised that they didn't use the same algorithm as they used for armor to Ellie as they do for evasion to deflection, because I can literally get to 100% of my armor as Ellie, and it's not great, right? But it's even better because I can get to above 100%. Now, obviously, above 100% deflection would be pointless, so you would min-max to get literally right at 100%, because if it happens every time, it's no big deal. But I didn't struggle hitting 100%, and I feel like it should still be the same for the evasion part of the mechanic to make evasion deflection good anyways. Like, I agree. Like, the cool thing about spell suppression in Path of Exile 1, for those of you that don't know, it's basically I have a chance to suppress a spell which reduces the damage by 50%, which can be modified up or down. I can get my spell suppression chance to 100%. So every time I get hit by a spell, it will reduce the damage of that spell by 50% damage. And that's on top of your other layers. So the difference being in Path of Exile 2, with evasion, you have to get your evasion so high that even if I'm using all deflection, it's nearly impossible with the diminishing return to deflection to hit 100% chance to deflect the attack or spell, deflect the damage, and it reduces it by only 40%, which I felt so sure that they were going to get it somewhat right because of the words out of GGG's mouth saying, and if you invest into it enough, you can hit 100%.
Yeah, I don't think they thought that one through. I think that's going to be, let me rephrase. GGG has showed us time and time again that they have a plan, and we just don't have all the pieces. There's probably a world where deflection is insane, just not yet.
True. And I do feel like if they made it too easy to obtain, then people running the other defenses would just run hybrids, and it would just be the absolutely, I run hybrid. If I'm an armor class, I'm going to run armor evasion. If I'm an ES class, I'm going to run ES evasion, right? And then if I'm an evasion class, I'm probably going to run armor evasion or ES evasion, right? And I don't think they wanted that either. So we'll see how they fine tune it, and hopefully they get it into a point where if you're pure evasion, you can easily hit 100% deflection. But if you're hybrid, it's going to be extremely extremely high investment to hit anywhere near 100 if you're running hybrid defenses, which makes sense. That's understandable. And I think they tried too hard and made it almost unobtainable even for just pure evasion. We'll see. We're still dealing with an early access game, which a lot of people forget that this is early access. This isn't the end state. This isn't the end all be all. This is what we get. This is how it works, and deal with it. So if you have something that you dislike about the game, take that advice, post it on the forums, let them know. They've already proven with adding sprint and adding the ability to use the same support skill gem on different skills that they're listening to the community. So it's very valuable that you too take your ideas, post them to the forums, take your complaints, post them to the forums. Don't just go say, hey, this sucks. Tell them why it sucks. Because then maybe they'll take that and they'll re-wrap up whatever it is that you think sucks and make it not suck for you.
Yeah, true.
So I think that's the majority of the topics that I wanted to make sure we hit. Was there anything that you had in mind after what we've already discussed that you wanted to add into there?
0.3, I'll say, is it makes me very excited for the future of PoE 2 and what's coming up. And I know they recently announced that 327 is the end of October.
Mm-hmm.
So
Excited.
Overall, I'm very excited to see what happens with Path of Exile. And like I said, I don't see a world where I can play PoE 1 without that auction house system, man. But
it's too good.
I think we covered a lot of the really good stuff in terms of 0.3 and what's going on. And I'm looking forward to how the next week or two evolves and how things shake up, because we saw Deadeye be everywhere and Deadeye be the meta and Lightning Arrow be everything, and now we've started to see a lot of really cool things come into play and other builds. So I'm very excited to see what happens over the next week or so, and what kind of items or what kind of combination of skills and stuff people play. Because I know I've been playing what I've been playing for as long as I've been playing, and I'm probably going to swap off soon to something.
So we're what? This is week 2 marker, right?
It's early, yeah.
Yeah. So it's really early. We still have, I would say, at least another 6 weeks of a lot of people trying different stuff. I think the first 2 weeks is typically where people take their league starters off and they start doing the quirky, funky, let's try this shit out, let's try that stuff out, whatever the case may be, because I do now have the currency to kind of craft some crazy gear for this, experimental build without being dead broke. Or, you just happen to find some really kick-ass gear and you're like, ooh, I wonder if I can make that work. Yep. So, I'm definitely looking forward to see some of the stuff that the community cooks up. I'm super excited. I absolutely love the new spells, the new attacks for Warrior. I only have one thing to say about Warrior outside of I love it, and that's I really wish we had something to get us around other than the standard same old leap, slam, and stampede, because that's typically where most Warrior builds devolve into. That's just the fastest around that we can get. With that,
weapon swap whirling slash.
You know what? I tried that. And it's not that it was bad, but it was that I didn't have the gear to make it perfect. And the most I could get my whirling slash up to was 4 attacks per second. And that's with all the attack speed nodes around the Warrior, which there's actually quite a few more than I realized when I actually set that up. And 4 with the bug fix thing that they did was just not faster than sprint. So
sure. Okay. Fair enough.
But I'm sure there is a world where that does work, and we'll see. Like I said, I'm excited to do some, now that I can actually farm end game and do some end game stuff. I'm excited to see what kind of craziness we can cook up on the warrior. With that being said, on our way out, let's talk a couple things that you would like to see come to or change in the next patch with the 0.3, what we've seen and experienced now. I'll go ahead and start. For one, I would love to see some extra things around the auction house and sprint being changed and adjusted. I'm excited to see if we get a new class in the next patch, which I'm almost on the edge of, like, I wouldn't be surprised if we see more than one, but mainly I would like to see some more mace options. It seems like most builds boil down to the same, this is what I'm getting on my mace and this is what I'm using. I would like to see some more mace classes, not mace classes, but more mace options, maybe possibly implicits. And I would definitely like, my biggest change that I want to see come to the auction house is being able to input our item. Like, number one, hands down. I know I said that earlier, but I'm going to reiterate that because that would make the third-party trading app obsolete, and I would love that.
Sure. That makes sense. I can definitely, I think it'd be really nice if you could just like have it fill in the items in the thing and hit the search button. Yeah.
Yeah, which I think they said that they were going to be working on some sort of implementation like that. It's just not, they wanted to give us the system and I'm 100% behind them on that. They got us the system, and boy, do I love it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I agree. I just want more weapons. I don't play with more weapons.
I almost
I don't care about
that.
the classes. Just give me the weapons.
I almost said that, and actually, now that you do say that, that's actually exactly what I think I mean. Because I love maces. They're fun, but they're just so fucking slow. Like, they're just god-awful slow. And like I said, they're fun. They got a big bang for their buck. But I would like to see some other melee weapons.
There was a two-handed, not two-handed, but there was a dual-wield like vampire sword that was found in 0.1. It was like, they look like swords out of the movie Gladiator, like old Roman gladiator swords.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Those looked really cool. And then we never heard anything else from him again about those. And I was just like, well, we know that's the duel list. So like, can we just have the swords? Like, it's fine. Duel list can come later. It's fine. I just want to play with the swords, man.
Yeah.
Or like traps. Like I'm not too thrilled at the idea that you have to equip your trap, but I'm like really interested in seeing how it plays out. So I just want weapons, man.
I agree. Well, weapons are the baseline of the game, though, right? Right. The class doesn't even really define the gameplay. It's the weapons you so choose to use. That's really what defines all the gameplay. So they will come. Yeah. They will come. But I'm with you. I wouldn't mind like not having the class and having the weapon for the class, because was there flails in PoE 1?
No, there's flails coming though.
I know really that, cool, but there's no flails in PoE 1, right? So that's going to be a new weapon archetype that's coming to PoE 2. Yeah. Which is, I'm guessing, this is a guess, but I'm guessing it's coming with Templar.
Yeah, I don't know. It's Templar.
And the only other question is like, that I've been asked a lot is, what weapon is the druid going to get? And I'm like, it's already in the game. Wands and staves. That's like, in my eyes, like, that's common sense, right? Because they're casters.
Odds are what'll happen is there'll probably be two flavors of druid, is my guess. There'll be a melee druid, and there'll be a transformative melee druid, is my guess, and then there'll be like a caster druid. So the caster will use like wands and staves, and then the melee one probably based on other games won't be affected by the weapon, and the weapon will just be like there, kind of like how Energy Blade is.
True, but what do you know what druids typically use when they use their melee weapons?
In Diablo 2, they use the big fucking axe,
Axes.
and they used like a pole arm. They just used whatever in Diablo 2, whatever gave them the most attack speed.
Well, yeah, but that's choice. My thought when I think about a druid is a damn rock tied to a stick, aka mace.
I don't think it's gonna be mace. It's probably gonna be out there. I mean, depends on how the transformation goes and what happens there.
And they might add, damage to staves and wands if you choose to melee with it, right?
Yeah,
we'll see. I mean, that's one of those, like, I think if you're gonna go melee style with druid, that it's gonna be shape shifting, right? Right. So in reality, you just want to. It's a spell, so you just want to boost that spell damage. I don't know. We'll see. I think that they're not gonna get a weapon. They're gonna be just like the sorcerer tree, where it is basically like you just use a wand or a staff as well, because all their melee stuff is going to be considered a spell because they're transforming. But we'll see.
Yeah,
I don't know.
makes sense.
I'm excited.
I too.
Yep. Well, I think we covered the majority of the topics. If there's anything that you guys would like to hear from us, our ideas, thoughts, opinions, or whatever the case may be, or if you just have something that we said that was totally wrong, let us know in the comments or let us know at one of our next live streams. So with that being said, that's another episode of Loot Farming and Gossip. And we'll see you next time.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Static buzz in the midnight air. Travic and Spooker in the gamer's lair. Loot drops falling like a neon rain. Pixel worlds driving us insane. Halo rings light up the fight. Sonic speed blurs through the night. Diablo's demons in the dungeon's breath. Path of Exile paths leading to death. Loot farming gossip in the glow. Digital whispers in the flow. EverQuest dreams keep us alive. Dead by daylight screams collide. Bosses grinding bones, legends born in gaming zones, quests that stretch beyond the frame. In this podcast we name the game. Controllers on the heartbeat song, Spooker's laugh keeps the vibe strong. Travic's words cut through the noise, gaming tales from girls and boys. Loot farming gossip in the glow. Digital whispers in the flow. EverQuest dreams keep us alive. Dead by daylight screams collide. Controllers hum the heartbeat song. Spooker's laugh keeps the vibe strong. Travic's words cut through the noise. Gaming tales from girls and boys. The farming gossip in the glow. Digital whispers in the flow. EverQuest dreams keep us alive. Dead by daylight screams collide.